Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pizza Party. I'm your host, Game Pizza Boy, host of the Pizza Party, and ready to have a great time with you guys for another awesome video here on YouTube. Today, we're going to be doing something for Overwatch 2 that I said I was going to be doing before, and that is going to be a Ramattra guide. I thought about talking about a little bit more about Ramattra, going through his stats, his weapons, his abilities, and just giving my points and picks right here about what you should be expecting when playing Ramattra. Of course, if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button, comment down below, and tell me your thoughts on Ramattra. Make sure you subscribe, and make sure you also go take a look at all my socials, and even when I go live on Twitch, link will be down below. Without further ado, let's begin and explain everything you need to know about Ramattra. Starting off, of course, with his abilities, and then going through a couple points. I'll go through each of them, and then I'll give you guys my quick guide tip. First, starting off with Ramattra and his stats is his health. He's, of course, a tank, so he has a lot of health right there, and he goes up to at least 450 health. Even in his Nemesis form, he also has 450 health, but with an addition of 225 armor health, giving him a total of about 675 health in total, while still remaining with whatever armor health he has left. His primary weapon, when in Omnic form, is Void Accelerator, a staff that will fire a stream of projectiles in a fixed pattern. It will deal about 4.5 damage per projectile. It goes from projectile speed up to 80 meters per second. It has a rate of fire of 25 per second, has over 100 ammo, and can reload just within a second, and can deal headshot damage as well. His first ability is Void Barrier, which will create a barrier at the target location. You can tell by just simply looking at the line on the floor when summoning it. It will have over 1,000 health, making it a very strong shield right there for a barrier. It can be summoned for over at least a max range of 35 meters, has a duration of 4 seconds that will last until dissipated, and has a cooldown of 13 seconds. His next ability is Nemesis form, which allows him to transform into his Nemesis form, changing his attacks and gaining the bonus armor and some different abilities. He gets over, of course, 225 plus armor health, adding to his normal base health, has a 20% speed boost as well, including this, lasts for about 8 seconds, and it has a cooldown of 8 seconds. During his ability, he has a new melee primary fire attack called Pummel, which allows him to punch forward and creating a wave of energy with every swing to his enemies, dealing about 60 damage for every punch, having a max range of about 12 meters, and having the rate of fire of only one attack every 6 seconds, making it quite slow. But however, though, he can keep on punching no matter what until eventually the ability is over and he goes back into his Omnic form. However, though, the best part of it is it can also pierce through enemies and barriers. So you can still attack enemies these multiple times and multiple enemies together whenever they're close behind one another and also right behind barriers no matter what. His next ability also is Block, which is only featured in Nemesis form and allows him to block significant damage and take it and reducing its cost, but however, though, reduces movement speed. He gets a 50% penalty to his move speed, making him pretty slow when he's blocking. However, though, he does get a 75% damage reduction, making him basically strong enough to hang in there, of course, during damage. However, though, its only effect is for the front, not the back, so be mindful when watching behind you. The next ability can be used on both sides is Ravenous Vortex, either on Omnic or either on Nemesis form. You can throw down a special nano ball, which will allow you to cause an area effect that will slow down enemies and pull them downward back to the ground and damage them over time once it hits the ground. It will deal 15 damage per second. It will have a move speed penalty cost of 40%. Its projectile speed is 30 meters per second. Has a max range of 40 meters within the radius and about 9 meters up to a height for anyone above. It also lasts for 30 seconds and lasts for only just a few short time at least, and it has a cooldown of 12 seconds. And finally is Annihilation, which is his ultimate. It will cost about 1,680 points to get ready to start. When this activates, you'll enter Nemesis mode automatically, and you'll create an energy swarm surrounding yourself. This swarm will lash out towards nearby enemies anywhere close within your radius, dealing damage and pausing the duration when damage is dealt. It will deal 30 damage per second, has an area effect of 13 meters, and lasts only for 3 seconds. However, it's infinite as long as enemies are getting damaged within the radius. So that's all these stats, the abilities for Ramattra, everything you need to know about everything going on right there, including his weapons as well. Now, let's get into a couple quick advice before we eventually end off the video. So here's what I got to say for Ramattra. All right, now moving on to is my guys and other really important things to explain about when playing Ramattra. Now, when it comes to Ramattra, he is quite a tank, obviously, as we know, as he is. But I don't think he's going to be like the kind of tank you want to be able to just go in and just kind of guard situations all the time. The only time you ever want to deal with that is mostly when you're in like your Nemesis form. But whenever you're in your Omnic form, it's best to kind of play a little bit more of a defense slash kind of a little bit more of attack kind of situation. I would recommend whenever you're playing in your Omnic form, make sure you definitely be ready to get your shields up whenever there's like a lot of enemies. So if you get into a position where you're entering a control point or trying to protect a cargo or literally just trying to defend your teammates, just be ready to place your void barrier up to group up with your teammates and give them a little bit of a shield to kind of help them break it very easily so they can deal damage through it and keep them protected for time being until the shield's gone after 4 seconds or its health is completely disapparated. So make sure you definitely keep guarding with that very well. Whenever you're usually using your own primary fire with the Void Accelerator, make sure you're definitely, of course, are in a good position where you can then get good aim very much. So make sure like it's straightforward without too much movement. Obviously, if a lot of enemies are moving around the place, like Lucio running through walls, it's gonna be kind of challenging to kind of get those shots, since obviously it takes a little while still to kind of reach out to a enemy from a distance, but it will still hopefully be quick enough to hopefully get over there when they can't. But if they're too very quick, then they will pretty much evade all the shots very easily. Usually, I recommend for this kind of weapons be pretty much still kind of close to mid range in some situations. But if you're like in a position where you can like see them coming in one direction, be ready just to go ahead and unleash hell on them to deal some damage, especially if you can aim for the head, because then you can just melt the hell out of the damage if you land their headshots very well, especially if they don't realize it before it's too late and they're coming down to you in a straight line. So that's always one thing to be ready for. When using his special Vortex grenade, obviously, the Ravenous Vortex, just be ready, and I mean be very ready for sure whenever you place that, because again, once you already place it will stay there and you have to wait about a couple of seconds or so before you can use it again. So you have to be very cautious when you're placing that. So I would recommend whenever you think there's enemies around or you're about to get close to them, throw it directly to the ground. Don't throw it up. Don't throw it forward. Try to throw it to the ground when you're by enemies very much, or at least close to the ground by the enemies as much as you can, so that you can place it by them and hopefully it will slow down a little bit to give you time for you and your allies to be able to just go ahead and get slowed down right there, and then your allies can be able to shoot and take them down as much as they quickly can. Obviously, though, enemies can evade it, so be mindful when throwing it. Otherwise, enemies will try to avoid it and will eventually escape. So don't expect it to be that easily slowing enemies down to get an easy kill off them. It will really be the right time very well in order to be able to just completely just go off and get yourself a nice, good, quick kill with the Ravenous Vortex. When in Nemesis form, this is where I think it's a good time to start testing it really much as well for this. Now, when it comes to this, I would recommend, though, only using Nemesis form when you think the enemies are grouping up very well on you and your teammates, or if you start feeling a little bit weak and you need to protect yourself. Because once you unleash that, you have that extra armor help to assist you, and you can start going off and just start taking them out as quick as you can. Take advantage of that when you think you're about to get yourself pretty much pummeled by the enemy team, with either many of your allies dead or about to be weak, or if, of course, you think things are not looking pretty good for you when you're trying to push through objectives or whatever. So unleash that and just go off and try to do your best you can with that, especially when shielding yourself with, of course, his block. So make sure you definitely use that too. But be mindful, though, it's only for the front with the damage reduction, not for the back. So if anyone comes from behind, be careful, because they will get you off guard and you will still lose the same amount of health you would normally do without the block wall in Nemesis form. When using, obviously, his punches, however, though, definitely I would recommend when using the pummel, just make sure you're obviously in good close range situation. Because while the range is still quite good in some ways, it's not going to be good for all the time. Again, it's 13 meters, so it's not going to be always fantastic to kind of stay too far away. Make sure you're at least still in a close range situation when using Nemesis form as pummel attack. You have to really be aggressive as hell to even get that point. So get in there and just punch them as much as you can and shield yourself if you need to and get back, but then and try to unleash hell if you can, if you want to finish them off as fast as possible, especially when they're very weak, and also helps push them back when doing any objectives. So use that to your advantage. As for his annihilation, I do obviously recommend making sure you do this at a really good point where there's a lot of enemies nearby. specifically during moments where it's like either close to being end game when you're pushing like an objective, for example, like a control point or the cargo, or especially when you think you can get around behind them and sneak up on them. So try to flank enemies when you can at a right point, or pushing objectives when you can when that happens as well. And try to give them the surprise, hopefully, when there's a lot of enemies. Once you do, unleash it and just hopefully run into them and just keep unleashing hell until everyone is gone and use that to your advantage so that you can still keep your ability going. And until every enemy's completely gone, you can be able to go ahead and push the objective or something like that. So that can kind of help out very well in many problems when there's a lot of groups. Just be mindful not to use it too early. Obviously, because if you use it too early, you'll lose a lot of time. And if enemies hear you going off with that stuff, it could really risk you losing your ability pretty quick and getting pretty melted down, especially when they already have their ultimates ready for it as well. So be careful with that. Be very careful. And with that, that is going to be everything I got to talk about for Ramattra. I hope you guys really find this pretty useful and found this pretty fun. If you do enjoy this, make sure you don't forget to hit the like button. Comment down below and tell me your thoughts on Ramattra. And if you have anything to put into this guide as well, please let me know. I will be happy to kind of get into it with the community and hopefully, learn from this as well, as much as I've also learned from this too when playing Ramattra lately. And of course, if you would like to help support the channel, subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new videos come out. And you can go take a look at my multi-link down below if you want to keep in touch with everything going on with the Pizza Party, including when I go live on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. So make sure to go take a look right there. With that being said, thank you everyone so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep on partying. I'm your host, Game Pizza Boy, and I'll see you guys next time at the Pizza Party. Goodbye again, my friends.